Hey, I'm Austin Penton with Realty Executives. I'm here with Gary Sturm from Mortgage Investments Group. We're here today to talk about some mortgages and things going on in the market, what rates are looking like, some good options for you guys out there, whether you're looking to, purchase a home for the first time, or you're looking to maybe size up to a new home, or maybe you're an investor out there looking to get into a rental property or something like that. I'm here with Gary today to talk with some options of possibly things that you can use to help you get into those things. So we'll start from there. Gary, how are you?
I'm great,
Good
Austin.
to
How are
see you
you
today.
doing?
I'll let you do an intro of who you are and what you do.
Sure. So I'm Gary Sturm. I work at Mortgage Investors Group. I'm actually the branch manager of the home office, and I've been here 29 years. So I'm immersed in the mortgage world.
Yeah. So Gary's a great resource for us, especially at REA. I know we have a partnership with you guys at MI, so I know you guys have been very beneficial for us over the years, as well as vice versa. So good to be here with you
Yeah,
today.
thanks for being
Yeah,
here.
absolutely. So let's start with new home buyers. I know right now it's a bit challenging with where rates are to get into the market with rates being such high, especially coming from a 2.5%, getting all the way up to where we are now. It's a bit challenging for new homeowners to get into the market. What options are out there for new homeowners, and kind of how do you help those new homeowners get into the market right now?
Sure. What I would say is that it's still a perfect time for new homeowners to try to get into a house.
Sure,
It's always cheaper to own than it is to rent, right? So
absolutely.
pay your own mortgage as opposed to paying somebody else's mortgage. And I think it's a big misnomer. People think they have to have a down payment to get into a house.
Okay,
First
yeah,
time buyers can still get in for no money down. There's many programs where you truly don't need any money.
great.
So, and if you can't qualify today, call me. Let's talk, and if we'll put you on a plan. So hopefully, if you can't buy today, you can buy in 3 months or six
And
months.
figure out how to get there. And what I'm hearing a
Sure.
lot from people in the market too is they're trying to wait till rates come down, and I've kind of tried to caution people from that, because what you're going to see when those rates drop is prices are going to go back up, and then you're going to be in multiple offer situations, people bringing in cash and so forth. And so I think right now is a perfect time to buy if you can figure out how to get into that rate and make that payment for several months, or when those rates start to come down, you can then refi. So I think that's a good way for people to kind of look at it right now too. Rather than being worried about having a high interest rate, you can go ahead and get that house. And the term I've been using is marry the house and date the rate, right? So you can get that house that you love, and then later on you can change that rate out for a cheaper one as rates come down, hopefully over 2024, which is I think is what we've heard from the Feds. Have you guys heard the same on your side?
I think rates are going to come down. I also think people have to realize too that for the big historical picture, rates are really not that high.
Yeah, absolutely,
Right. So
yeah.
I think we got really spoiled with the 2.5% rates, and that may not be. I mean, that's not going to be a forever thing,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Especially with new people getting in the market right now. I will speak from experience from my age group. A lot of, I'd say 30% of what we know is rates being at 2.5%.
Right.
But like you just said, if you look back, traditionally 7% is about that rate that's been normal over the last, 100 years or so for
Well,
most
and
people.
as we all know, rents have been going up, up, up.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
it's still very expensive to rent and
Yeah.
still much cheaper to own.
Yeah, and I think a problem that a lot of people are getting into now is that the prices haven't come down any, but your interest rates are still fairly high. So, and the reason prices haven't come down is because there's not a whole lot on the market. Yeah, so prices with the houses haven't come down because the inventory level remains, kind of low. So so sellers can still kind of ask a certain rate for their house that they were when interest rates were low, just based off the inventory not being there. So it kind of hurts people's buying power,
Sure.
because the prices are still high and the interest rates are high. So when rates are 2.5%, they may have been able to afford that $500,000 house. But now that rates are up and prices are still up, they're not able to afford that same home. Is there any options that you have to kind of offset those types of things?
Well, there are buy downs. There are ways
Sure.
to buy down the interest
Yeah,
rate,
absolutely.
and there are even like 2-1 buy downs where you can
Sure.
buy the rate down just for the first couple of years, which gives you the opportunity to get used to making a house payment, get used to having taxes and insurance, and
Yeah.
having to mow your grass, and then as you grow into the house, rates will you can. So if the rates, let me give you an example.
Yeah,
If
that'd be great.
if the current rate is 6.5%, I can get you in at 4.5
Oh,
today,
okay.
and then
Awesome.
5.5 the next year, and 6.5 forever. So it gives you a couple of years to get acclimated to having a mortgage. And again, normally at that 4.5% rate, it's probably not much different than the rent you're paying now.
Sure.
And again, I can't reiterate enough to people that the sitting on the sidelines to me just doesn't make sense because nobody knows what the rates are going to do. Nobody has a crystal ball. And the longer you sit on the sidelines, somebody else is building equity in their house.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
meanwhile, you're throwing money down the drain paying rent. So I think it's always a good time. Again, if you can't buy today, at least call and let's talk to us and let's put a plan together so you can get into a house in the future.
Yeah, I think that's a great advice. Can you give me an example of like how does it? Can you give me an example of how that 2-to-1 buy down kind of works? Like what you have to pay at closing and so forth, and kind of get that rate down, and kind of how you get that rate to that 4.5%.
Sure. So you are prepaying the interest for the first 2 years.
Okay,
So if the going rate is 6.5%, we can buy it down to 4.5%. You have to pay that money up front, but that can be in the term of whether you have the money saved at home or it can even be a gift. So it allows you to have a much lower interest rate for the first 2 years, and it's a band-aid to get you acclimated to having a new mortgage and having to pay a 6.5% interest rate if you're not prepared to. But it's a great opportunity to get into a house at a real cheap rate, right? It's still at that four and a
sure,
half percent rate. Um, and I think too, when people look and they look at what they're paying for rent versus what the mortgage payment's going to be, even with the higher rates, it's really not that much different. Again, it kind of goes back to what you said. There's not a lot of inventory, so it's hard to find a house.
yeah,
But we have many different ways to work the numbers for customers, especially first-time buyers. I think most first-time buyers can make the house payment. They just are worried about their down payment.
sure. The
How are
upfront
they getting
costs.
them? They don't have the 10 grand saved up. And what they don't know is they don't have to have 10 grand saved up. Again, I have many 100% programs where there's no down payment required.
That's great advice, and I think people at home will be glad to kind of hear that because I think that, like you just said, I mean, it's a very difficult and a daunting task to feel like you got to come with $10,000 or $20,000 to put down on a house, and,
Right.
and if we can get people at 100%, that makes a big difference for sure.
A lot of times buying a house and the whole mortgage process can be very intimidating, especially for first-time buyers. And I'm just going to send this invite out to anyone who's thinking about doing it. Call me, email me, text me. If you can't buy now, let's put a plan together. Let's talk about it. There's no reason to be afraid to look into the process. So, I mean, again, I know it can be overwhelming, but that's what we're here for. That's what I'm here for. That's what Austin's here for,
Yeah,
to kind of make the process smooth and take some of that fear away. And again, if you can't buy now, let's put a plan together and let's
sure.
buy in 6 months. So
Yeah, thank you for meeting with me today, Gary, and doing this. I think it's a great way to kind of educate customers out there that aren't quite clear on maybe how they get in the market or kind of how things do. And your advice there is so good. It's like this is your expertise, right? This is what you do on a daily basis. You know this business
I hope so.
well better than a lot of customers out there. So it's great advice to say, hey, give me a call. I'd love to
Sure.
talk to you, and I can walk you through some of these things that maybe you're unclear on, or let me clear up the waters for you and some of that muddiness that people don't quite understand those things. So again, I'm Austin Penn with Really Executives. Gary Sturm here from Mortgage Investment Group. I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this. I appreciate Gary for being here and taking his time out of his busy schedule to do this. So thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.